Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream for the day. We're gonna have some fun. I hope everyone is doing great out there. I know it's really hot, especially if you're in the LA area. It's so uncomfortable. Obviously, it's just something that we're trying to deal with, especially if you're like in an area where like you don't have like AC or something like that. Especially for the people who are working outside, it just becomes so tough. Just kind of like working in those conditions, because I've worked indoor jobs and then I've worked in outdoor jobs. And when you work in outdoor jobs, you're really just dealing with the heat. But when you work with the heat, you're kind of like always adapting. You kind of like adapt with it. You kind of get a little bit, you're never used to it, but you get a little bit used to it. Which, like I'm always thinking like, oh, do people just adapt, and then do they just kind of like go with the other parties? Do they ever go with the other uh stuff like what they're dealing with? And I'm always thinking like, if people adapt with their environments, are there ever people who adapt even more? Like, are there such thing as like such a supernatural ability that people can get? Which really brings us to the topic of the day. I was doing some research and I was looking online, and then I found out that there's some individuals that they're able to get, like, I'm not gonna say like supernatural abilities, but they just perform a little bit different. Which brings us to the video of the day, and I really want to just get to it. The video of the day is brought to you by the season of the sense. One in a billion tribes, scientists can't explain, their bodies break all human laws. So what does that even mean? So it just means that their bodies just perform a little bit different than what we normally do. So without further ado, why don't we just get right into it? Why don't we just have some fun, and let's see what they have for us today.
People who live underwater as if they were fish. Places where nature shrinks bodies to ensure survival. People with the healthiest hearts ever recorded by science.
And right there, just we're gonna stop it right there. So I wonder if they're just living healthier because they're not exposed to all the, the processed food that we eat, all the sugar, all the stuff that we're always intaking. I wonder if that really plays a big role into what makes them so healthy.
And peoples who have survived for tens of thousands of years in lands where you or I would die in a matter of hours.
Ooh,
This
already
is
sounds
Uncensored
really
World.
intense.
And today we're going to meet the tribes that defy the laws of science.
All right. Tell me
Number 10,
about it.
The Bajau, the people who live underwater.
So right there. People who live underwater. I have seen a little bit of this from another video, and they have adapted that they're always just swimming and just going under, and it's so fascinating that they're just able to just swim. They're like, they call them almost the fish people because of what they do.
In Southeast Asia, among the islands of the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia, there is a people who for over 1,000 years have literally lived on the sea. Their homes are stilt houses driven directly into the ocean, several meters deep. They have no land, they have no fields, they have no livestock. Everything they eat, everything they are, and everything they know comes from the water. And over time, the ocean has changed them from within. An adult Bajau fisherman can dive as deep as 60 meters on a single breath. No tank, no wetsuit, no equipment, just his body, a handmade spear, and a pair of hand-carved goggles. They can stay underwater for between 8 and 13 minutes at a time.
That already sounds like a lot. 8 to 13 minutes, at a time. Like, dude, every time, what's so funny? Every single time I see a movie and there's like someone holding their breath underwater, they're just like swimming around trying to get out of it. Since I was a kid, I've always tried to see if I can hold my breath that long. Dude, I cannot tell you how many times I didn't make it. So the fact that they're making it, obviously it's like always like a Hollywood thing, but these people are the real deal. They can hold their breath up to 13 minutes in a single dive. They can go 200 feet underwater with no scuba gear, just like that, natural, just like that.
Understand what that means. A professional free diver, someone who has spent years training
Look at that.
specifically for this, can last between 2 and 4 minutes.
That's our McDonald ass version of us training, and that and their version is the organic version. They're just already equipped since birth. They make this like it's just
The Baja
fascinating.
do it every day.
Look at that, he's over there wrestling. He has an octopus as a pet. He probably has named him. There's a name, there's a relationship between that octopus and him already.
Breakfast. It's not training, it's not technique, it's pure biology. In 2015, researchers from the University of Copenhagen traveled to Indonesia to study them and discovered something that forever changed what we believed was possible for the human body. The Bajau have the largest spleens ever recorded in any human population on the planet. When the body submerges, the spleen contracts and releases additional red blood cells into the bloodstream. More red blood cells mean more oxygen available for the muscles and brain. It's exactly the same mechanism that seals and dolphins use to prolong their dives. It exists in humans, but to a very limited extent.
Their spleen is 59% larger than your average human being. You remember when I was telling you guys about, you know, working in the heat and you just kind of get used to it a little bit? These people since birth, every single day, they're just diving, they're going, and they adapt. You adapt to your environment. I mean, I don't want to say like kind of like about evolution or so, but I always say this: you adapt to your environment. If you live in the cold and all you know is cold, you adapt to it. People who live in the heat, they adapt to it. You adapt to your environment. That is the most fascinating part about the human body, or just about, you know, the whole ecosystem, everyone that is. You adapt to wherever you are at.
Among the Bajau,
look at him, he's cozy. He's cozy.
59% larger than that of neighboring tribes living on land. Not
Dude.
just a little bigger, almost twice as large. And most striking of all, this was also true for Bajau, who hardly ever dived, which means it's not an adaptation that each individual develops through practice.
Oh my God, he just
It is a genetic adaptation. The Bajau body is built for the ocean from the start. Researchers even identified the specific gene responsible for this, PDE10A, a variant found in the Bajau but not in any neighboring population, and which is directly linked to spleen size. Natural
that's
selection,
crazy.
over centuries of underwater life, had literally rewritten part of their genetic code. But it's not just the spleen that's different. Their eyes have also undergone a transformation. A study showed that Bajau children constrict their pupils when diving in a way that no other human population studied is able to replicate, allowing them to see clearly underwater where any other human would only see a blur. Scientists believe this adaptation developed because entire generations of Bajau children learned to see underwater, even before they learned to walk on dry land. Furthermore, their tolerance for carbon dioxide is significantly higher than the human average. The urge to breathe does not stem from running out of oxygen, but rather from the buildup of CO2 in the blood, which triggers an alarm in the brain. In the Bajau, that alarm goes off later. Their heart rate also slows when submerged to levels that would be considered medically dangerous in anyone else. For them, it is simply the normal rhythm underwater. Bajau children learn to swim before they learn to walk. By age 8, they are already diving on their own.
By age 8, they are already diving on their own. By 8 years old, or like, see, my mom was sending me to go get milk to the liquor store. They're over here diving into the ocean. They're just already with it.
By age 10, many reach depths of over 20 meters without assistance. There are records of Bajau fishermen winning local free diving competitions against divers trained specifically for competition, not as an exception, as something completely normal. Some elders, after decades of daily dives, deliberately pierce their eardrums to relieve the pressure that builds up at depth. The pain lasts a few days. The benefit lasts the rest of their lives. Today, however, something troubling is happening. The governments of the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia have been pressuring the Bajau for decades to abandon their houseboats and settle on dry land,
See, that just seems really intense, that the government or anyone's just interfering, just saying, hey, you know what, you're not gonna live like this. We want you to come and just be a normie. Just be a normie. Just come over here. Like, why can't we just let people be if they're not bugging and they're just like, just let them be. That's that, because that's honestly, that just seems beautiful. Just to kind of have that kind of environment. It seems like they're chilling, they're swimming. I wonder if they have, oh, I saw a boat, but I was like, I wonder how much of the boat that they go. I wonder how far they can swim. Like the moment I know they can go deep dive down, but what is that converted to how far they can swim out? Like, is that a difference between going down and then going across into the ocean? That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Many have already done so, and scientists are observing something they didn't expect. In Bahau families that have been living on land for generations, the spleens are shrinking. Underwater vision is deteriorating.
Oh
The
my
diving reflex is
god.
weakening. What took 1,000 years to develop is disappearing in just 2 generations.
But
Because
why?
evolution, when it is no longer necessary, reverses course. And with it, one of the most extraordinary experiments nature has ever conducted on the human body. Do you think the Bajau are proof that humans could have evolved toward the sea instead of toward the land?
Who knows?
Leave your
Can they? Can they, people? Can they?
Answer in the
Hold on.
comments. Speaking of water,
Oh, what just
at the end
happened?
of this
Wait, what happened? What happened? Oh, no, it's just a next scene. Next scene. I thought I touched something. My bad, people. My bad. My bad.
video, you'll meet a tribe that survived one of the most devastating tsunamis in history, while everyone around them perished. Their abilities seem almost supernatural. But first, we travel to Bolivia, where science discovered something inside the chests of its inhabitants that no doctor in the world had ever seen before. Number 9. The Chimane, the tribe with the healthiest hearts in the world. In the Bolivian Amazon rainforest, hours away from any city, lives a people who for centuries have remained almost completely isolated from the modern world. The Chimane hunt, fish, and farm just as they did
Look at
1,000
that.
years
The
ago. No
tribalness.
supermarkets, no cars, no gyms. And that has made them the most cardiovascularly healthy population ever studied by science. In 2017, an international team of cardiologists performed scans of the hearts and arteries of nearly 800 Chimane adults between the ages of 40 and 94. What they found left the medical community speechless. 85% showed virtually no signs of atherosclerosis. The
What does that
hardening
even
of the
mean?
arteries that is the leading cause of death in the Western world. An 80-year-old Chimane man had the arteries of a 50-year-old Westerner. The study was published in The Lancet, one of the world's most prestigious medical journals, and was considered a historic discovery. Scientists identified 3 factors. The first is constant movement. The Chimane walk, hunt, and work between 6 and 7 hours a day, not as exercise, but for survival. On average, a Chimane adult
what they're
walks the
doing.
equivalent of 16 kilometers a day throughout their entire life. The second factor is even more surprising. The Chimane derive between 70 and 72% of their calories from carbohydrates: rice, corn, cassava, plantains.
Nothing processed. You see that? Their diet is completely different than what we normally say. And they're describing them as being some of the most healthy individuals because obviously they're not eating anything processed. There's not really any sugar foods. There's no processed, no fried food. So their body long term just adapts into a healthier version of themselves.
Exactly the foods that modern diets point to as culprits behind cardiovascular decline. Yet their hearts are the healthiest on the planet. The difference lies in the fact that these are natural, unprocessed foods, and that every calorie they consume is burned off as they move through the jungle. The third factor is the near total absence of chronic stress. No debt.
No
bosses,
stress,
no
no debt,
notifications.
no bosses,
They're-
no notifications. That's like a whole other subject. Now, when you live like that and you have none of that, like the lifestyle that we have, like you're dealing with your bosses, you're dealing with like stress, notifications, social media, keeping up with appearances, things like that, they don't deal with that. They're just being a more of a healthier individual. It sounds interesting. I wonder what they do for like work and all that stuff, but it sounds like they just get their own food and they're just resourceful. They're just resourceful for whatever it is that they need.
Your bodies never accumulate the silent inflammation that
I would wear that fit. I would wear that fit. That would be me. I would wear that fit.
destroys the arteries of millions of people in the modern world. The researchers were very clear. The Chimane do not have special genetics. What they do have is the way of life for which the human body was
she looks so
designed
happy.
over millions of years of evolution. And the most disturbing part of the study is what happens when the Chimane migrate to cities. In less than a generation, their arteries begin to deteriorate. The same heart, the same genes, a completely different outcome. It's not the tribe, it's the world we live in. But if you think this is the most shocking fact in the video, wait until you meet the next tribe. In Tanzania, there is a people.
So what was their thing? They were just like healthier. They had a healthier heart. I think I saw that they described them to have a bulletproof heart. Like their heart is just the most healthiest, like all around the world. And I think it is because of that, because no stress. They're not really stressed out. They're not eating the type of food. So the first group was that they were diving a lot. They were really good at just kind of diving, and they can hold their breath a lot, for a longer time. Their spleen was 59 bigger than the others, and then the second tribe, they were just healthier, a healthier heart. They had it described what's called a bulletproof heart. So let's check out the next tribe.
Who've been living like our ancestors for more than 50,000 years.
That looks good.
And who have proven that everything we thought we knew about human metabolism was wrong. Number 8, the Hadza, the tribe that lives as it did 50,000 years ago.
What does it say? The tribe that lives as it did 50,000 years ago. Interesting.
In the heart of Tanzania, beside a remote lake, live approximately 1,300 people who may be the most accurate reflection of how all humans lived before the advent of agriculture, cities, and civilization as we know it. The Hadza are one of the last remaining pure hunter-gatherer societies on Earth. They do not farm. They do not raise animals. They do not store food. Whatever they hunt or gather each day, they eat that very same day. Every morning they wake up not knowing what they'll eat, and they've been doing this without interruption for more than 50,000 years. For decades, scientists assumed that this lifestyle must entail a massive energy expenditure. That hunting, walking kilometers, and climbing trees would burn far more calories than the life of a Western office worker. It seemed logical. It was completely false. In 2012, a team of scientists traveled to Tanzania to precisely measure the calories the Hadza burned each day. The results were so unexpected that they delayed publishing them because they feared no one would believe them. The Hadza burned exactly the same number of calories per day as a sedentary Western adult. No more. The same. The explanation is surprising. When the body moves more, it doesn't expend more energy overall, but rather reorganizes it. It devotes fewer resources to processes that slowly make us sick.
That's crazy.
Such as internal inflammation. It's as if constant movement shuts down the mechanisms that destroy the body from within. And that is exactly what protects the Hadza from the diseases that kill millions of people in the modern world.
So that right there, so they're constantly just hunting. They don't store food every single day. They're hunting, and they're just kind of like out there just kind of gathering exactly what is it that they need. I wonder what their thoughts are about us. So I know that they communicate and they have their own language and they talk, but I wonder what they say like about us. Like, how do they describe us? Like, do they describe us as like do they have a word to technology? How do they describe technology? Do they like, because obviously they're getting filmed, so they know that, our culture exists. So how do they think about us? What do they say? Like, what is their thought process about how we live? Because just hearing how they live, maybe because we work and it's like wild out here, but it sounds cool. I mean, maybe that's just me. That I think it sounds very relaxing, kind of hunting, all that stuff. It just sounds interesting to me.
Their diet consists of whatever the land provides each day.
At least they got an Oya. Look at that. They got
berries,
a whole Oya there.
Tubers, game meat. Sometimes they eat monkey, sometimes turtle. They have no set
about the monkey
schedules or
part.
recipes,
I eat a turtle.
and yet their bodies are in a state of physical fitness that most Westerners cannot achieve, even in their prime. Their gut microbiota, the community of bacteria that lives in our intestines and controls much of our health, is the most diverse ever recorded in any human population. hundreds of bacterial species that have completely disappeared from the guts of people living in modern cities. Some researchers believe that this loss is one of the main causes of the rise in allergies and diseases in the West. The Hadza have no leaders. They do not accumulate possessions. If someone finds honey, they share it that very afternoon.
That's beautiful. They're just one group. They're just one. It's a whole ass motorcycle right there. I thought that they weren't living like that. There was just a motorcycle right there.
Defy science, wait until you meet the next tribe. Because in the jungles of Central Africa, there is a people whose bodies nature has radically transformed. And the reason why is far more fascinating than you can imagine. Number 7. The Pygmies, the people nature decided to make small. In the tropical rainforests of Central Africa, where trees reach...
That looks beautiful already right there. I can only imagine what it smells like, what the air is like. It just seems beautiful out there. Look at all that greenery.
30 meters in height, and the vegetation is so dense that the sun barely touches the ground, lives a group of peoples who, for thousands of years, have defied one of the most basic rules of human biology. The Pygmies, which include groups such as the Baka, the Aka, and the Mbuti, are the shortest humans on the planet. An adult pygmy stands, on average, between 150 and 155 centimeters tall. But what's truly extraordinary isn't their height.
Wow, look at that.
It's the reason why they're that way.
There's a reason for it, people. There's a reason.
Scientists believe that their small stature was simply the result of malnutrition or isolation. Then a more interesting theory emerged, that they were small so they could move more easily through the dense jungle, climb trees with greater agility, and survive on fewer calories in an environment where food is not always abundant. And there is a lot of truth to that. Pygmies are extraordinary climbers. Their feet possess a flexibility and grip that no other human population has, allowing them to scale vertical trees in an almost supernatural way to gather honey, fruit, or eggs. But science went further, and what it found was even more fascinating.
That's interesting.
Genetic studies revealed that pygmies are not born small. At birth, they are completely normal in size compared to any other human baby. The extraordinary thing happens during adolescence. While other children around the world experience the growth spurt that takes them to their adult height, the pygmy body simply slows down. It stops growing, as if the jungle had programmed a signal into their genetic code that says, "This is as far as you go, you don't need any more."
So they just don't grow. They just don't grow at all. I wonder if they mix in someone who is really tall and then they just kind of have that, they have like a baby with one of them. Would that affect the genetic wave of what they're working with? Because the gentleman here does look very small, so I wonder if they mix the genes up, would that change anything? I wonder.
If this video is surprising you, hit like right now and subscribe to Uncensored World, because here you'll discover the world like nowhere else. Researchers have determined that this halt is related to very low levels of a growth factor.
But I would want to hear the music. I would want to hear the drums that they have.
It's neither a deficiency nor a disease. It's a deliberate adaptation that evolution has embedded in their genome after thousands of years of natural selection in the jungle. And what's most impressive is that they aren't the only ones. The jungle does the same thing to the animals that live there. In the same regions where pygmies live,
so the animals too get affected?
Pygmy buffalo and pygmy hippos.
Pygmy? Is it? What is it?
Relatives in other ecosystems.
Pygmies.
The dense jungle, with its limited resources and closed canopy, favors small bodies. And over thousands of years, both the animals and the humans living there gradually grew smaller, generation after generation, until they reached the perfect size for survival. This is no coincidence. It is evolution at work in real time. The pygmies also have one of the deepest relationships with the jungle ever documented among any people on Earth. They do not view it as a resource.
That's what I was thinking too. I don't want to say it.
As a living being with which they coexist and to which they owe respect. They have specific rituals to ask permission before hunting.
Pygmies.
To give thanks.
So it's spelled Pygmies. So it's pygmies. Pygmies. Pygmies.
After finding honey, and to communicate with what they call the spirit of the jungle. Some groups, such as the Mbuti, hold a ceremony
Mbuti.
called molemo when something serious threatens the group, playing music for days to awaken the jungle and ask it to
See, I would
restore
want to hear
balance.
what they're jamming out
Their
to.
knowledge of the environment is so precise that researchers who have lived with them describe the experience as moving through a city you know by heart, but where you can't read any signs. Do you think being small can be an advantage, or quite the opposite?
Well, definitely you're consuming less food, less water. Obviously, if you're bigger, you're consuming a lot more food and a lot more water. So they have adapted. This whole video is about people just adapting to their environments and just kind of like what the adaptation kind of entails.
Leave your answer in the comments. But if you think the pygmies' adaptation is extraordinary, the next tribe takes the concept of adaptation to a whole new level.
It's just taking it to a whole nother level.
In the Namibian desert, there is a people who have turned never bathing in their entire lives into an evolutionary
Never
advantage.
bathing into their entire life. I promise you, people, I know a few people like this. Never bathing. Now, so it kind of makes sense. They're just from another tribe. I have been judging them the whole life, bro. I feel so bad.
Science backs them up. Number 6, the Himba, the tribe that survives without water in the hottest desert.
The tribe that survives without water in the hottest desert. Their hair looks really, really, really cool. The Himba. I know a couple people that are from Himba descendants, apparently.
Kaukoland lies one of the most hostile.
So how do they even? So the wait, that he just said something. He just said that there's no water there. So, but you need water in order to survive. So how are they even going about it?
Arid deserts on the planet. Temperatures exceed 45 degrees for months on end. Water is so scarce that finding it can mean walking for hours. Vegetation is almost non-existent. It's a place where human survival should be impossible.
So then why do they even stay there then? Like the question is, like, if it's so tough, like it just seems, wouldn't they just migrate to another area? But for whatever reason, this tribe says like, no, it's okay, we can adapt, we can live. And the individual that we just saw, she looked really happy. She was like, no, wait, what do you mean? Like, I'm good, like this is how I am, I'm happy. But they don't leave, they just stay right there, which is like the most interesting part.
The Himba have been living there since
Look
the 16th
at her, she's just so
century.
happy, she's
There
smiling. Her teeth look really, really white.
And they have developed a way of life so perfectly adapted to their environment
Oh, look at
that
that.
anthropologists describe it as one of the most sophisticated examples of human survival under extreme conditions ever documented. And it all revolves around a deep red substance called ochise. Ochise is a mixture of animal fat, aromatic resin, and ochre, a reddish clay rich in iron oxide. The Himba apply it all over their bodies and hair every morning, from birth until death. They never shower, they never wash with water. Instead, they take aromatic smoke baths, sitting over containers of burning herbs that purify their skin and bodies from below. For them, water is too precious to use for personal hygiene when the desert may not yield a single drop.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, so we're over here kind of thinking a different type of way, but we use water. No showers, got it. You're funny. No, so we use water because it's so easily disposable. Like I can wash my hands 1,000 times between now and then, but they don't, because of like they just don't have it accessible. So they only use it for drinking. I'm sure that they store their water and they have it, but they just don't use it for, like, you know, water gun fights or water balloon fights. It's like a very limited thing to get. And the clay that they use it so it's like almost like a sunscreen. It really protects them from the sun.
For years, Western researchers viewed this practice with skepticism. Then they analyzed it in a laboratory and discovered something unexpected. Ochise acts as a highly effective natural sunscreen, protecting the skin from ultraviolet radiation that is devastating in Kaukoland.
Dude, look at her. She looks so happy.
It has antibacterial properties that keep the skin free of infections in an environment where any open wound can be fatal. And the aromatic resin it contains acts as a natural repellent against insects that are abundant in the region. What appeared to be a primitive custom was in fact a biotechnological solution perfected over
just
centuries.
walking barefoot around
The
there.
visible result is striking. The Himba have some of the most recognizable skin in the world, that intense reddish hue that makes them unmistakable. and this has made them one of the most photographed and studied tribes
I
by
have seen, yeah, I was gonna
anthropologists
say
and
that.
photographers.
I was gonna say that. Like, I have always seen pictures of that. I just didn't even know where it came from. The Himba, HIMBA, desert survivalist.
From around the globe. But beneath that skin lies more than just aesthetics. There is a form of armor. Their society is organized in a way that also defies Western norms. The Himba are patrilineal when it comes to the inheritance of land and livestock, but matrilineal regarding spiritual heritage and clan identity. A child belongs to his mother's clan but inherits his father's property. Two lines of identity run parallel within the same person. Himba hospitality is legendary among anthropologists who have lived with them. A Himba chief may offer a visitor the most valuable thing he possesses, including the company of his own wife.
Whoa,
In a gesture of welcome that in their...
even the company, they're just being generous, people. They're just being generous. Dude, I can't even get a cup of water when I go to some people's house.
culture represents the highest honor that can be bestowed upon a stranger. It is not infidelity. It is generosity taken to its most extreme expression. Would you accept an invitation from a Himba chief? Tell us in the comments what you would do. And in a desert where water is scarce, where the sun is scorching, and where parasites lurk, the Himba have survived for centuries by remaining exactly who they are.
Stay true to who you are, people. Stay true to who you are.
Without giving in. Without needing anything the modern world considers essential. They are, according to the very researchers who have studied them, proof that beauty and survival can do more than just coexist. They can be exactly the same thing. But if you think the Himba have found the formula for surviving in Africa's most hostile place, the next tribe takes human longevity into territory that science
each tribe just takes it to a whole nother level.
Can't fully explain. In the mountains of northern Pakistan, there is a valley where people live to be over 100 years old, and where 60-year-old women look like they're 30.
Dude, because I know some 30-year-old women that look 60, so that's kind of crazy. We're really in the opposite side of the world.
Number 5. The Hunza, the tribe where people live to be over 100 years old.
Let's take that in, people. The Hunza, the tribe where people live to be over 100 years old. What is it? Before we even get into it, why do you guys think that they live to be over 100 years old? Just like, I haven't seen it, right? I'm just gonna say right off the back, maybe it has to do with the altitude, the air's fresher, it's colder, the food's healthier, obviously no processed food, no stress, no, I'm not gonna say no social media or stuff because I haven't seen that part, but that's just kind of like my first thoughts on it. But let's see what's up.
In the far north of Pakistan, where the Karakoram Mountains rise to nearly 8,000 meters, there is a valley so remote and isolated that for centuries the rest of the world simply did not know it existed. To reach it, one must cross mountain passes that remain closed by snow for months. There are no highways. There are no airports. Only rock, ice, and silence. That valley is called Hunza, and for decades it was known throughout the world as the place where people do not age. The accounts that came from the first Western explorers and doctors who visited the valley in the 20th century were hard to believe. Men who claimed to be 120 years old and were still working the fields. Women in their 70s who looked like they were in their 40s. Elderly people who climbed mountains at ages when any Westerner would have been unable to walk without assistance for years.
I wonder how old she is right there.
The Hunza Valley became a legend. The place where the secret to human immortality had been discovered without anyone in the West knowing it.
But what is it though? What is it? What is their secret? What makes them live so long?
When modern researchers arrived with actual measuring tools, they found that many of the records of extreme ages were unverifiable. There was no official documentation. No one had recorded birth dates. The oldest Hunza simply estimated their ages based on memory and oral tradition, and tended to round up generously. The 120-year-olds were probably 90. The 110-year-olds were probably 85. But 90 years in the Hunza Valley is nothing like 90 years anywhere else in the world. Because what researchers did confirm, with real data and precise measurements, is that the Hunza age in a way that completely defies Western patterns. Their rates of cardiovascular disease are extraordinarily low. Cancer is almost non-existent among the traditional population.
Crazy.
Their blood pressure at age 70 is comparable to that of a 40-year-old Western adult, and their physical capacity in old age is unmatched by any other population studied in Central Asia. 60-year-old women who look to be under 30, 80-year-old men who continue to farm
Nose
their fields
piercing,
on
though.
mountain
Can't get
slopes at
past that
altitudes
nose
of over
piercing.
2,000 meters. That's not a myth. That's documented. What is the reason? Researchers point to several factors that work together. The first is diet. The Hunza eat mainly vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains that they grow themselves.
That's beautiful.
Very little meat,
that looks so
almost no
delicious
sugar,
and healthy.
And an extraordinary amount of apricots, which they eat fresh in the summer.
Apricots,
and
write that down,
throughout the
people.
winter.
Write that down.
Apricot seed oil is their main source of fat and is packed with antioxidants. The second factor is the inevitable physical activity. Living in a mountain valley means that every trip involves climbing or descending steep slopes. They don't go to the gym. They don't need to. Their geography keeps them physically active all the time without them even having to think about it. The third factor is
Dude, look at that. Like
fasting.
every single step is precise. She does not step in the video in the middle of that at all. I kept looking. Look.
During the months
So
leading
she's so
up to the
precise with
harvest,
those
when
steps.
winter
So they're saying it's like the healthy eating and the working. I mean, essentially, we've heard it all the time. It's nothing really new. But to see people take it to such an extreme, to live to just like these amazing ages, it's just amazing, dude. I know some people that are like already, like I used to work at a hospital, and at the age of like 50 to 60 they were already hitting like the ends. You would think that they were in their 80s or 90s because they just wouldn't eat healthy and they weren't active at all. And to hear that these people's day-to-day activity just takes them to a whole nother level of just being, I don't want to even say fit, but being healthy. Being fit and healthy is just a completely different thing. You know, you being fit, you could just be on steroids, you could look fit, but if you're healthy, you're just a healthy individual and you're able to live to just a longer time, which is extremely incredible.
Reserves run low. The Hunza spend weeks eating very small amounts of food. This circumstance-driven intermittent fasting is now being recognized by modern science as one of the most powerful tools for cellular longevity. And the fourth factor is probably the most difficult to replicate. Chronic stress, that silent enemy that ages cells from within,
That
simply
always
does not
says
exist
it.
in
They
Hunza
always
in the
say
same way it does in
stress.
a modern city. Life is hard, but it is predictable. It is communal, and it has a rhythm that the human body recognizes as natural. The Hunza do not hold the secret to immortality, but they have something almost as valuable, a way of life that allows the human body to reach its full potential without destroying itself along the way. But if you think living to be 100 in the mountains of Pakistan is extraordinary, wait until you meet the next tribe.
Oh
Because in
my
those very same
God.
mountains just a few hours away,
That next try, bro, I promise you, is gonna take it to a whole nother level, bro. It's just, for the most part, I'm hearing stress is part of this that ages you so much. It's the food, and it's the obviously the dieting, like I mentioned, and then just being fit, just being healthy, just being active just makes a big difference. I wasn't trying to turn this into kind of like a whole fitness thing, but it's just that's what they're saying. That's exactly what they're saying.
there is a people with blue eyes and blonde
Oh,
hair
these
who have
people are
lived in
just-
complete isolation from the rest of humanity for 12,000 years, and their story
It's
is
beautiful
even stranger.
colors, man. Beautiful colors.
Number 4.
My wife stresses
collage.
me out.
The
No, bro,
blue-eyed
my wife
people-
does not stress me out at all, bro. My wife is perfect, bro. I swear to God, bro.
Isolated for 12,000 years at the end of the world. In the Hindu Kush mountains of northwestern Pakistan, hidden in 3 narrow valleys surrounded by peaks exceeding 4,000 meters, lives the smallest and most mysterious religious minority in the entire country, the Kalash, a community of between 3,000 and 4,000 people that for centuries has caught the attention of all who have visited them, for a reason that is difficult to explain the first time you see it. In the heart of Pakistan, completely surrounded by a Muslim population, There are people with blonde or light
Bro,
brown
that
hair
just
and
stressed
blue
me
or
out
green
already.
eyes.
Just bumping at
For
10%
generations, this
just kind
fueled
of
a
like
legend
already
that spread
aged
throughout
me.
the region. It was said that the Kalash were descended from the lost soldiers of Alexander the Great, who had crossed those mountains in the 4th century BC during his campaign toward India. That some of his warriors had been left behind, had intermarried with the local population, and had given rise to this people with features so distinct from the rest. It was a fascinating story, and it was completely false.
What?
When modern geneticists analyzed the Kalash's DNA, what they found was even more extraordinary than any legend. The Kalash are not descended from any conquerors who passed through the area. They are not the result of any recent intermingling. They are an ancient indigenous population that became separated from all other human groups in South Asia approximately 12,000 years
She's
ago.
like,
Since then, they have lived in those 3 valleys in such extreme isolation and with so little genetic mixing
it
with
looks
the outside
beautiful there,
world
beautiful.
that they are, in the words of the researchers themselves, a frozen genetic snapshot of a world that no longer exists. 12,000 years looking inward, without mixing, without
Dude, and the fact that they can recognize that those colors just stand out and just so beautiful, it's just really cool to look at.
diluting, without disappearing. Their religion is polytheistic, filled with gods, mountain fairies, and nature spirits. In a country where such beliefs can cost one's life, they practice rituals that have more in common with the religions of ancient Greece or Persia than with any modern faith. Their festivals are explosions of music, dance, and wine in a region where alcohol is prohibited by religious law. The Kalash cultivate their own vineyards and ferment their own wine, which plays a central role in their social and spiritual life. Their society is governed by a fundamental concept that divides the world into pure and impure. The mountains, juniper, goats, and men are considered pure.
Juniper,
the low
mountain,
valleys, outsiders, and women.
Dude, I always knew. I know a juniper. I know a juniper. I know a juniper, bro. I know a juniper, bro, and she's as big as a mountain.
Considered impure.
Isn't that
because
right,
of
Miss C? Isn't
women
that
spend their
right?
menstrual periods and childbirth in a communal house called a bashali, located by the river, away from the village. Men are forbidden from even touching its walls. But inside, the women are freed from all household chores. They rest, work, and socialize together until a purification ritual allows them to return. Their marriage customs are also surprising. A woman can leave her husband for another man even while she is married.
Whoa.
The new suitor simply pays double the original wedding price to the former husband, and the matter is settled without drama or social consequences. The Kalash are also considered one of the peoples with the most striking physical features in the entire region. Their European features, set amidst the mountains of Pakistan, have attracted photographers, anthropologists, and curious visitors from around the world for decades. But if you think 12,000 years of isolation is extraordinary, the next tribe tops that.
What?
Because,
bro, the next tribe is gonna take it to a whole nother level, bro. Whole nother level. Right, Misty? Right? A whole nother level? A whole nother level? Don't touch the keyboard. Don't touch the keyboard. Don't touch the keyboard, bro. What are you doing? Chill. Bro, what are you trying to type? What are you trying to tell me, bro? Are we communicating right now? Are we communicating right now?
in Africa, there is a people whose DNA is the oldest on the entire planet. And they also speak a language that bears no resemblance to any other known human sound.
I want to hear this language. Bro, if they're saying the language, I better hear the language, because a lot of the times with these things, they have not been playing the music or the drums or whatever it is that they're playing in the background. They have not been playing it, and I've been really waiting for it.
Number 3. The San, the oldest humans on the planet. In southern Africa, across the deserts of Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa, lives the oldest people on Earth, not in a metaphorical sense, in a genetic and literal sense. The San, also known as the Bushmen, are the oldest unbroken human lineage in existence. Their DNA diverged from the rest of humanity more than 150,000 years ago. To understand what that means, when the first modern humans left Africa to populate the rest of the planet, The San had already been living for thousands of years exactly where they live today. The
That's a
entire
lot of
modern
San
human
people.
population descends from a branch that
Look at this guy,
diverged
bro.
from
He
them.
looks like he works out
The
a
San
lot.
are, in genetic terms, the grandparents of all humanity, and yet they are one of the least known and most threatened peoples on the planet. The San are hunter-gatherers who have lived in the Kalahari Desert for more than 150,000 years without needing anything the desert could not provide. Their tracking skills are legendary and have been scientifically documented. They can track a wounded animal for 3 days across dry terrain without losing the trail. They can identify which animal passed a given spot, how long ago, whether it was wounded, frightened, or calm,
That's pretty
and in
cool.
which direction
That's
it
pretty
was
cool.
moving. All by examining footprints in the sand that anyone else would not even notice, let alone step
Oh
on.
my God.
But their most extraordinary trait is not in their feet, it is in their mouths. The San speak one of the oldest and most complex
Let me
languages
hear it,
ever
bro.
documented
Let me
by
hear it.
linguistics. Their language is built on clicks and sounds that do
Oh
not
my
exist
God,
in
I
any
want
other
to hear
known
this
human
now,
language.
bro. Please let me hear how they sound. Please let me hear it.
There are dental clicks, palatal clicks, and lateral clicks, each with a completely different meaning. To a Western ear, these are impossible to distinguish and nearly impossible to reproduce. Linguists who have spent years studying it describe its phonetic complexity as something without parallel in any other language in the world. If this video is surprising you, give it a like right now. It's the best way to help us keep bringing you
I'm gonna
stories
like it, bro.
these
But
every
let me
week.
hear what the little click
The
click
most
sound,
striking
bro.
aspect of their recent history isn't what they've preserved, it's what they've survived. During the 20th century, the governments of Botswana and South Africa carried out systematic campaigns to expel them from their ancestral lands and force them to live in modern settlements. They were forbidden from hunting. Their tools were confiscated. They were told
See,
that
why do
way
they interfere when they see these individuals and the way that they live? That's always like my thing, you know. We see these individuals and the tribes and the way that they live, and the government's like, you know what? I know you've been doing this for centuries, but we're gonna go in there and we're just gonna change things up. I don't like what you guys are doing. We need you guys to start paying taxes. It all comes back to taxes, people. It always comes back to taxes.
of life was primitive and that they must abandon it. The San lost almost everything, and yet they survived. Today, some groups have reclaimed part of their territories through legal
It's all
battles
about
that reach the
taxes,
supreme
Misty.
courts
It's
of
all
their
about
countries.
taxes.
They continue to practice tracking. They continue to speak in clicks. They continue to pass
But let me
down
hear the
knowledge
clicks,
that
though.
took 150,000 years to build. They are the living memory of what all human beings once were. But if you think the San are extraordinary for being the oldest humans on the
Ooh,
planet,
if you think that
the next
they're
tribe takes that idea to a whole new
it's gonna take it to a whole nother level, bro.
level.
It's gonna take it to a whole
Because
nother
in the
level.
Brazilian Amazon, there is a people who never sleep,
Never
who speak
sleep,
by
bro.
whistling through the
I be
jungle,
feeling like that, bro.
and whose language has turned everything science thought it knew about human language upside down. Number 2, the Piraha, the tribe that never sleeps and communicates by whistling. Imagine going to bed every night thinking that if you sleep for more than 15 minutes straight, something might take you away while you dream, that you might not wake up as the same person, that the being who opens their eyes in the morning would no longer be exactly you. Now imagine that everyone around you is absolutely convinced that this is what happens, and that's why no one around you wants to fall completely asleep. This society exists. They're called the Piraha, and they live in the Brazilian Amazon. The Piraha are a tribe of hunters and fishermen who live on the banks of the Maiti River, in one of the most remote corners of Brazil. There are approximately 400 of them. They have been living in the same jungle for thousands of years, and during that time they have developed a way of understanding the world so radically different from ours that the scientists who have studied them openly admit that some of their characteristics simply do not fit into any known theoretical framework. Let's start with sleep. The Piraha do not sleep, or more precisely, they refuse to sleep for long periods. They take short naps of between 15 and 30 minutes spread throughout the day and night, both during the day and at night, in any position and anywhere. The reason is a deep-seated belief shared by the entire community. Deep sleep kills the person you used to be. When someone wakes up after a long sleep, the Piraha consider that person to have died, and that the one opening their eyes is someone new. That is why they change their names several times throughout their lives. Every time they feel they have changed profoundly as a person, they adopt a new name. Identity is not something fixed, it is something that flows. But sleep is not the most extraordinary thing about the Piraha. Their language is probably the most studied and debated in all of modern linguistics. The Piraha language has no numbers. It has no 1, no 2, and no 10. They have no way of counting. They have no distinct colors with their own words. Their grammar has neither past nor future tense. Only the present exists. What is happening right now? What can be seen, touched, or heard at this very moment? If you cannot perceive it directly, there is no way to talk about it in the Piraha language. This led linguist Daniel Everett, who lived with them for decades, to publish a study that shook the foundations of global linguistics.
What did you find out, bro?
Everett
What did you find
argued
out?
that the Piraha language directly contradicts Noam Chomsky's theory of universal grammar, which held that all human languages share an innate deep structure. The Piraha language does not have it, or at least not in the way Chomsky described it. The debate sparked by that study remains open today among the world's leading linguists. Their language can also be sung, whistled, and hummed, while retaining its full meaning. The Piraha communicate by whistling across the jungle, with the same precision with which other peoples would speak face to face. In the darkness of the Amazonian night, their whistles travel through kilometers of dense vegetation, carrying complete and precise messages. They have no concept of history. They have no creation myths. They have no stories about what happened before the living members of the tribe were born. If no one present experienced it, it does not exist in their culture.
This guy's in his chonies.
The past that no one directly remembers simply isn't part of their world. How many days do you think you could survive by taking only 15-minute naps? Leave your answer in the comments.
15-minute naps, people. So their supernatural ability is that they do not sleep because of their beliefs. They feel that they will not wake up. Damn, man, lately I've been sleeping a lot, but that's only because we've been working a lot. You know, I try to catch up on it, but when we're working, there's like no sleep, and you just accept it. It is what it is.
And before we meet the tribe featured at the end of this video, tell us, which of all the tribes we've seen so far has surprised you the most? Because what comes next is the climax that the entire video has been building toward.
The fish one, the very first one, that one right there.
That no modern instrument can detect. And thanks to that, they survived the most devastating tsunami of the 21st century, while thousands of people around them died without understanding what was happening.
Oh my God, that's so intense.
Number 1. The Moken, the tribe that listened to the ocean and survived the end of the world.
That sounds intense.
In the Andaman Sea, between the coasts of Thailand and Myanmar, there is a people whom sailors in the region call the Sea Gypsies, the Moken, about 3,000 people who, for centuries, have lived on wooden boats, moving among the islands without ever settling in any one place, with no permanent destination, with no land of their own, with no home other than the horizon. The Moken spend between 8 and 9 months a year entirely at sea. Their boats, called kabang, are handcrafted from a single piece of wood and are designed to serve simultaneously as a boat, a kitchen, and a bedroom for an entire family. They are born at sea. They learn to swim before they learn to walk, and many of them die at sea without ever having slept more than a few nights in a row on dry land.
That's crazy.
Their knowledge of the ocean is unmatched by any other seafaring people studied worldwide. They know the currents, winds, seabed, and tides of every corner of their territory, with a precision that no modern instrument has managed to surpass in their region. They know which marine animals behave in certain ways before a storm. They can read the color of the water to determine its depth without measuring it. They can navigate at night by the stars with an accuracy that took Western sailors centuries to achieve with a compass and sextant. But all that knowledge is not what made the Moken a global legend. What made them a legend happened on December 26th, 2004. That morning, a 9.1 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Sumatra triggered the most devastating tsunami of the 21st century. The waves reached heights of up to 30
tsunamis
meters.
are not even to
They
play
swept
with, bro.
away
That's a very
entire
serious
coastlines
thing.
in Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and
Oh,
India.
man.
228,000 people died in a matter of hours.
Ooh,
It was
small moment of silence for that. That's really intense. Tsunamis are nothing to play with. The fact that they even survived something like that, that's really intense.
one of the greatest natural disasters in modern human history. The islands where the Moken lived were directly in the path of the waves. And yet, when rescue teams arrived on those islands days later, expecting to find the same horror they had seen everywhere else, they found something they could not explain. The Moken were alive, virtually all of them. They had climbed to the hills hours before the first wave struck.
So different?
Not because they had phones, not because they had received any warnings, not because any satellite had alerted them, but because they had read the sea. The Moken elders recognized signs that their ancestors had taught them to identify since childhood.
Okay, all right,
The sea receded in an unusual way. The dolphins swam out into deeper waters. The elephants on the neighboring islands began moving toward higher ground without anyone guiding them. The birds stopped flying in their usual patterns. To any Western tourist on those beaches that morning, everything seemed like a normal morning. To the Moken, each of those signs was a word in a language they've been learning to read for thousands of years. The ancestral knowledge that the modern world has spent centuries dismissing as superstition had just saved every life in their community. When researchers arrived to study what had happened,
that guy's just holding his
Moken
staff
elders
just like that,
described
like
the
underwater,
situation with
like
a
Muhammad
clarity
Ali
that left
doing
the
the boxing.
scientists without an immediate answer. They spoke of the Laboon, the spirit that devours people, a figure from their oral tradition that describes exactly how the sea behaves before a tsunami. Not as a metaphor, as a survival manual passed down from generation to generation for thousands of years. Modern science, with all its satellites, sensors, and early warning systems, was unable to warn 228,000 people in time. The oral knowledge of a tribe of sea nomads, without electricity or the internet, saved every single one of them. Today, the Moken are under enormous pressure. The governments of Thailand and Myanmar have been pushing them inland toward permanent settlements.
Always the governments just trying to get involved and just to change their culture, just to tell them like, hey, we don't want you to live the way that you've always lived. We need you to join civilization and start paying taxes. That's all I'm hearing, honestly.
Schools and identity documents. Many young Moken no longer learn to read the sea as their grandparents did. The language in which the ocean speaks to them has been falling into oblivion for decades. And with every Moken elder who dies without passing on their knowledge, the world loses a library that took millennia to compile, and that no computer on the planet can ever recover. Would you like to be connected to nature like the Moken?
Yeah,
or do you
that'd be
think
nice.
the modern world has disconnected us forever? Leave your answer in the comments. And if this video has made you see the world through different eyes, hit like and subscribe to Uncensored World, because here you'll discover the world like nowhere else. And it doesn't end here. If these tribes have left you speechless, the next video will do the same. Because in Africa, there are societies where young men must leap over wild bulls to become men. Warriors who face lions with nothing to protect them. Women who bear scars on their bodies as a symbol of the highest honor.
Shit, she just got hit,
and
bro.
entire villages that live alongside the planet's deadliest predators, as if they were part of the family. Don't miss the video that follows this one to learn about.
Guys, that was really interesting, just to hear all the different cultures. I think that's like my favorite part about everything that we're watching, is just hearing all the different cultures and how people live and their beliefs and how they go about their day to day. You know, I think so the tribe that probably impressed me the most out of everybody, honestly, guys, was probably the first one, the Baju. I think it was the indigenous, the human submarines. The fact that they can go under, I felt that was probably the most supernatural ability out of everybody out of the mix. I thought that was the most interesting part. A lot of times, I think for the rest of the people, it just revolved a lot about dieting. It revolved a lot about less stress and just about being active, not being fit, but being a very, very active. The people who lived in the mountains, I think the ones that were saying they were like over like 100 years old and I don't know what, because they never stopped moving, they never stopped being active. So that was pretty interesting right there. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. Let's go right here. The video today was brought to you by the Season of the Sands, and make sure you guys like and subscribe to the video here. It was so interesting. And until